How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another Injustice 2 character analysis, where we break down each character and discuss their game plan, their moves, their trait, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to overcome these characters. Today we'll be discussing
Bane.
Before we begin, I do use advanced terminology that isn't covered in this video, so I'd like to refer you back to my tutorial series if any terminology in this video doesn't make any sense to you. With that being said, let's get into it.
Superman.
Bane makes his presence in the DC Comics by his display of superhuman strength and villainous cunning. Bane is more than just brute strength as an adversary to Batman. NetherRealm has integrated this personality into Injustice 2 by equipping Bane with hard-hitting grabs and the biggest meterless damage potential on the roster. Being a big body character with low agility, Bane's neutral is mundane without his trait, but once his trait, Venom, is active, his moves gain the ability to absorb one incoming hit. Once Bane is in your face, he's more than just a mindless big body. He is equipped with the most command grab mix-ups of any character, and one wrong guess will deplete half your life bar. He simply breaks you. Bane is of the grappler character archetype, pure grappler, with no elements of any other kind of playstyle in his arsenal, meaning his matches are very polarized. As easily as Bane could crush one opponent, he could just as easily be shut down by the next. He lacks any sort of combo starter special move, meaning that meter with Bane is spent on his special moves, doing about 200 damage if Venom is active. All Bane needs is one touch or one wrong guess. So let's take a look at his moves and see what's up. Looking at Bane's key normals, we see that standing 1 is 7 frames, Bane's fastest normal and his best functioning poke. Keep in mind this is a high, so that should tell you the kind of slow character Bane is. His back 1 is 17 frames, but is a low starter that leads into a tick throw mix-up or a full combo. His forward 1 is one I never actually see used, but is plus 7 on block, so if someone could somehow manage to get this 19 frame move out there, it could be very useful for some mix-ups. Bane's down 1 is 11 frames of startup, but it's one of the few down ones that hit low in the game, and can be comboed off of for some big damage, which isn't bad considering it has some decent range. Then there's his back 2, which is another one of his low starters. Starts up in 18 frames and is pretty stubby, and also leads into a tick throw mix-up. Then we have his big forward 2, which starts up in 26 frames and is pretty much a half screen normal. I mean, look at this thing. You'd think this is a special move. It can also be turned into an overhead if the down input is held after forward 2. This forward 2 down normal can be followed up with a tick throw as well. His down 2 is one of the slowest in the game, 12 frames of startup. You won't be using this much to stop pressure on the ground. It does lower his hitbox slightly if you use it, making it a decent anti-air. You can't really react with it though, you'll have to anticipate the jump in. Moving on to his strings, Bane has a few. Off of his standing 1, we have a few basic strings that I personally don't see used often. We have 1-1, which is useless by itself at -4. 1-1 leads into 1-1-2, which is essentially his 1-1 string with his forward 2 normal at the end. You can use this as a really long-range string in the neutral, but it can be punished with armor and you'd be much better off just using forward 2, both of which are -26 on block. 1-1 also goes into 1-1-2 down, which is exactly like the string before except with the forward 2 down at the end of the string. It's -11 on block, but can be comboed off of on hit and takes into the command grab, far more beneficial than 1-1-2. 1-1-2 down 2 is actually +2 on block, and I guarantee you very few people actually know this, so you could definitely take advantage off of this with standing 1, a meter burn back 3, or a throw. And 1-1-2 down 3 is only -5 and does okay damage on hit. Moving past this god-awful string, we have 1-1-3, which launches for a combo and is your primary full combo punishing string. 1-1-3 into meter burn back 3 bounce cancel is Bane's staple full combo. 1-1-3 ends in an overhead and is +2 on block. Then off of his low starter, back 1, we have back 1-1, which will tick into the command grab, or it could be ended in back 1-1-2, which will launch, creating a true 50-50 off of the tick throw. Then we have 1-2-3, another combo starter that is -4 on block, but there is a gap after the 1, so be careful of that. Then there's 2-2-3, which is borderline punishable on block at -8, and it doesn't really go far in terms of combo damage, which is probably why this string isn't used very much. Off of his back 2, we get back 2-1 and back 2-3. Back 2-1 is a low overhead that is +3, but there's a gap between the 2 hits, which is where back 2-3 comes in. Back 2-3 will punish the opponent if he thinks the gap is coming. Back 2-3 also ticks into the command grab. And finally, his forward 2 down normal has a built-in tick throw. Forward 2 down 1+3, which can be meter burned. Forward 2 down 2 is +2, just like 1-1-2 down 2. this time with no gap. Forward 2 down 3 will whiff if they jump thinking the command grab is coming. Forward 2 down 3 will whiff if they jump thinking the command grab is coming, making this a completely useless string with an enormous gap between the 2 hits. Bane is only limited to a few special moves, so let's take a look. Back forward 1 is his rage charge, nicknamed the Bane train, minus 12 on block but has an enormous amount of pushback, making this a very tough special to punish, with only a few characters actually being able to do it. It can only be meter burned on hit, giving it serious damage to be reckoned with. His down back 1 is an air grab with a large amount of recovery, meaning a whiffed air grab will lead to Bane being punished. The air grab can be comboed into, making it a solid combo ender. Bane's back forward 2, the elbow drop, hits overhead, and is fully invincible on wake up, functioning as Bane's primary wake up. Very punishable on block, however, minus 29 block advantage. The DP, or down back 2, is also slightly invincible on wake up and functions as a great anti-air when trait is active. Also can be meter burned for big damage, with the trade-off of being very punishable. Bane's command grab, down back forward 3, hits mid, which is perfect for a command grab, allowing it to create dirty tick throw 50-50s that lead to big damage on both options. It can be meter burned as well for more damage. His command grab also has a commendable amount of range compared to other command grabs. And then we have a super move, which is punishable at minus 13, but hits full screen, allowing him to fight against a good zoner from far away if the match is getting close. Bane's trait, Venom, is a very simple one, so this section won't be too long. Venom is built on 3 levels that each have their own timer if 4 is pressed. If 4 is pressed, Venom level 1 will activate and the timer will begin. While Bane is in any level of Venom, all of his special moves are granted 1 hit of armor, making a traded Bane very difficult to combat in the neutral. Along with the armor buff, Bane's damage is increased significantly. Level 1 Venom increases damage by 5% from base damage, level 2 Venom increases damage by 15%, and level 3 Venom increases damage by 30% more than the base damage. At level 3, Bane also has armor breaking capabilities on all of his special moves, meaning if you do a Bane train from full screen and your opponent charges up a meter burn back 3 to punish it, your Bane charge will plow right through them. On top of the armor breaking, level 3 Bane is also projectile immune during his special moves. Bane will also take less damage while Venom is active, depending on how far into the trait levels he is. Each time Venom is activated, a timer begins. If the timer runs out before trait is increased to level 2 or 3, Bane will be in a debuff state where he will take increased damage, deal less damage, and have lowered mobility by means of a slower, longer recovering dash and a floatier jump. If trait is activated again before the timer runs out, trait will be increased to a higher level, meaning that the debuff phase will be longer if Bane fails to activate trait again. The trait is a passive sort of ability that cannot be cancelled into. If you were to do 1, 2, 3 into trait into down back 1 would not come out because the 4 input was read by the system, throwing off your cancel, so you can't hit confirm into the trait unless you activate it between 2 separate strings. With all this in mind, let's take a look at Bane's strengths and weaknesses to get an idea of how Bane performs in his matchups. One of Bane's most obvious strengths is his damage, no doubt. Bane gets the highest meterless damage of any character on the roster when trait is active, not to mention he gets the biggest unclashable damage potential of any character. Bane also performs very strongly in the area of 50-50s and mix-ups. His command grab allows true 50-50s with armor when trait is active, and can wipe about 250 health off of one wrong guess. His armored special moves when trait is active allow Bane to stuff any slower normals in the neutral, and trip guard with an armored anti-air. The armor destroys characters that have gaps in their pressure because a reversal DP with armor will absorb a hit, leading to full combo damage. Combine this armor with the most forward advancing dash in the game, Bane is definitely a force to be reckoned with when he starts closing the gap. On the other hand, Bane's normals are extremely slow, and he has to rely a lot on tanking projectiles with an armored Bane train when he's stuck at full screen. Bane also has no projectiles of his own, so zoning Bane out is possibly his greatest weakness. When in the debuff phase, Bane has nowhere near the mobility he had outside of the debuff, so a character with fast footsie normals will destroy Bane's stubby neutral when trait is debuffed. He'll also hit like a bag of feathers when he's debuffed instead of a bag of bricks, allowing you to be a little more risky when challenging him. So let's take a look at the matchups he wins. Keep in mind I'm not a Bane main, and I'm doing my best to look at all these objectively. Obviously, my evaluations are open to debate. It's easy to say that Bane beats Gorilla Grodd. Grodd's pressure is riddled with gaps that Bane can exploit, and Bane can punish the leap every time with an armored DP. Grodd's projectile immunity is useless against Bane as well, because Bane has no projectiles. Bane destroys Raiden. Raiden has very low mobility and very stubby normals, making it impossible for Raiden to punish the Bane train. Raiden has no armor breaking normals or strings either, allowing Bane to do pretty much whatever he wants. Bane loses to pretty much any character that can efficiently zone him out. Green Arrow, Batman, Dr. Fate, Darkseid, and Black Adam. So let's go over some of these. Batman's meter burn Batarang and his mechanical bats chew through Bane's armor in the neutral and during pressure. These can also blow up Bane's gap for full combo damage. Superman is an obvious one. His trait allows him to break through armor with any hit, which is clearly crippling the Bane. Superman also controls the neutral very well with forward 2 and air laser. Black Adam can keep Bane full screen with low lightning and meter burn low lightning to break armor. He can also bait out Bane's DP with a whipped jump 3 because Bane has to punish dive kick on a read. And Black Adam's lightning bomb setups will break Bane's armor as well. Dr. Fate beats Bane. Bane's Venom can't get him past Fate's meter burn projectile. Fate can also meter burn his orb to set up a sort of ice clone like Sub-Zero. Only this orb is much better than the ice clone at keeping Bane out. And Bane can't really contest any glyph setups up close or at full screen. So that's just my guess on how Bane's matchups look. Hopefully it's given any future Bane players out there an idea on how Bane struggles or succeeds in his matches. So let's cover exactly how Bane performs in the neutral. This section will be a short one. Bane is very straightforward in the neutral. The one thing that really holds Bane back is the fact that no matter what matchup you're in, Bane has to play at his opponent's pace. So when up against space control characters like Superman or Scarecrow, you'll want to utilize your excellent forward dash, not activating your Venom until you're in footsie range. If Superman were to start using his projectiles, then a Venom charged Bane train from full screen is enough to get you in safely. But it's typically much more beneficial to use Venom when you're in Bane's down 1 range rather than full screen. Once you're in, the classic Bane move is to use the armored command grab to punish anyone crouching or walking back. Just don't get too predictable here, because a neutral jump will allow just about every character to punish your command grab shenanigans. You can use forward 2 down as your normal to start, because forward 2 down 2 is +2, allowing you to set up a variety of mix-ups like a command grab or another forward 2 down or a down 1 or whatever. A lot of opponents have trouble contesting with Bane's down 1 footsie range. Down 1 takes into the command grab on block, as well as combos into the DP on hit. So you can use that for a max ranged footsie normal in the neutral. That really helps get your offense started. When you're in debuff, the trick isn't always just to run away. Running away works when you're up against characters who don't have the best chase down. When you're in debuff, run away against characters like Sub-Zero, Aquaman, and Raiden who struggle at forward progress in the neutral. When against characters like Wonder Woman or Dr. Fate or Deadshot, running away might not be what you want to do. Instead, just play defense. Respect their moves more while you're in debuff. Don't run away and give them all the space they need to throw projectiles. Stay in their face, but just keep blocking. Of course, don't be afraid to press a button while in debuff. A punish is a punish, whether you're in debuff or not. Stay inside footsie range against characters that dominate at full screen when you're caught in debuff. Don't be afraid to try and whiff punish with down 2 or standing 1 every so often. That's all I have for Bane's neutral, so let's take a look at how Bane gets his pressure going for all you future Bane players. The Venom King of Peña Duro does his job best up close and personal. As Bane, you're going to be smothering your opponents with command grabs and armor, sometimes armored command grabs, which are a nightmare to every character in the game. Your main punishing string is going to be 113, which you can use 113 back forward 1 to switch sides, or 113 into the command grab to keep the same side. Or you could bounce cancel the 113, which we'll go over later in the combo section. When you finally make your way in, there are several strings you have at your disposal. So let's take a look at them. The 112 string is layered with several mix-ups. This entire string is risky in itself because everything after 1-1 has a gap in it. So when you see your opponent backdashing after the 1-1 when you use these strings, try this. Dash cancel the 2 in your 112 string. So if your opponent has a bad backdash, you can dash cancel and punish their backdash. Now this only works if your opponent is backdashing after 1-1. If your opponent has a 6-frame move, they can interrupt 112 and 112 down. They can also interrupt the armor if they have a bar. So if they try a more risky way of interrupting, your 113 will catch them if they try to mindlessly press buttons or armor out. So if you finally have your opponent respecting 112 down, you can do 112 down 2 for plus frames into a mix-up, or an armored counter poke if they try and press buttons out of plus frames. Don't ever try 112 down 3 because there's a gap after 1-1 and between the 2 and down 3, both of which your opponent can easily react to. It's more beneficial in every way to use 112 down 2 if your opponent is respecting 112 down. 113 has a gap after 1-1, but as we mentioned earlier, the gap isn't big enough to armor or poke out of. But you can backdash. If your opponent is aware of the gap and is frequently backdashing out of it, then try 1-1 into back forward 1, the Bane train. Honestly, the animations look quite similar, and Bane train will punish backdashes and can be meter burned for very good damage. So once your opponent starts respecting 1-1-3 or 1-1-2 down 2, we can utilize the plus frame for some good mix-ups. After these two strings connect, your opponent is essentially going to try one of 5 things. They're going to be unaware of your plus frames and try and push buttons. If they try this, use an armored move to absorb the hit. If you're out of Venom, an armored forward 3 will get the job done. But in Venom, you can do any one of your special moves to stuff a poke. But a meter burn forward 3 will offer serious damage potential. Be careful for moves like Black Manta's standing 2 or Harley Quinn's down 2 that are double hitting and will break your armor. Second, they could try an armor move of their own, in which case a charged up meter burn forward 3 will stuff their armor and punish them, or use 1-1 to break their armor. Third, they could try and backdash. If they try this, Bane Train won't be able to stop them, so you'll have to use your own dash immediately after your string ends, and use a standing 1 to punish them. This is a hard read though, so just be careful when you try and read the backdash. Fourth, they could try a jump back normal or a neutral jump normal. This is another one of those hard reads. You'll have to use an air grab to pull them down for some good damage. Again, you can be severely punished for this, so watch out. The final option, they could be respecting your plus frames and continue blocking. This is the one we want right here. We want to condition our opponents into respecting these plus frames, because when they start respecting our plus frames, it's our turn to mix. If your opponent begins to respect your plus frames off of 1-1-2 down 2 or 1-1-3, you can start with back 1 as your low. On hit, you can use back 1-1-2 into the command grab as your low hit confirm. If back 1 is blocked, you can tick into the command grab. If they neutral jump it, you'll be punished of course, but that in itself is a powerful mix-up. Once you hit them enough times with back 1 command grab, they'll start neutral jumping, allowing you to just do back 1 by itself. You might catch them so used to jumping that you'll be able to air grab them for free. Continuing off of back 1, since back 1-1 is a low-low, you could try a low overhead instead. Back 1 into the elbow drop might catch some people as well. You can do back 1 into elbow or back 1-1-2 into command grab if they get hit by the low-low. Back 1-1 also ticks into the command grab just like back 1. So there's another mix-up, back 1-1 command grab, or back 1-1-2 in case they jump. Now keep in mind, that's a 3-layer mix-up off of just the low alone. For your overhead option, we can use forward 2 down. On hit, you can use forward 2 into the back 3 bounce cancel, or forward 2 into the command grab as your overhead hit confirm. Forward 2 down ticks into the command grab, and it also has its own built-in tick throw string, forward 2 down 1+3. These both function as option selects because both strings will connect if forward 2 down is hit or blocked. They can both be neutral jumped and backdashed, so they're identical in all ways except damage. No matter at what Venom level, the down back forward 3 will always do more damage meterlessly when compared to forward 2 down throw. When meter burned, however, the forward 2 down throw will actually out damage your command grab, so if you have more meter you're willing to spend, go for forward 2 down throw instead. And of course you can always go back into forward 2 down 2 for more plus frames. And, as always, instead of going for your overhead or low starter, we can go for a throw instead if our opponent is respecting the plus frames. Your command grab is a true mid, so they'll get caught for just sitting there and blocking. So there you have it. That's about 10 different ways to mix up your opponent after they block your plus frame off of 1-1-2 down 2 or 1-1-3. You can also achieve those plus frames off of forward 2 down 2, which is the exact same as 1-1-2 down 2 without the 1-1 part, as we said earlier. Forward 2 down is a great normal to use in the neutral as an overhead starter. If you mix up your neutral with forward 2 down and down 1, you've got overhead and low starters right there that can really hurt your opponent. Combine this with your very long-reaching command grab that has armor and trait, and you've got a deadly neutral arsenal as Bane up close. But they're slow, so just be mindful of getting whiff punished or beaten out by a faster button from your opponent. One last string to touch on, starting off with the normal back 2. Back 2 leads into back 2-1 and back 2-3. Back 2-1 is +3 on block, and it's a low overhead. It's not really a mix-up, but it does have a gap in it, so if you mix up back 2-1 and back 2-3, the opponent will be less inclined to backdash, because back 2-3 will punish if your opponent tries to dash out of the gap that isn't there. Back 2-3 also ticks into the command grab, and functions as a solid combo starter if the second hit connects. When you've knocked your opponent down, turn on the Venom and command grab people out of their wake-ups. Bane eats single hitting wake-ups for breakfast. Keep command grabbing them on wake-up until they either neutral jump or delay their wake-up. This strategy always seems to work for Biohazard's Bane. Don't be afraid to interrupt gaps with a reversal armored command grab to show them who dominates up close. One setup Bane has in the corner is very deadly. If you end your combo in forward 3 as a hard knockdown, you actually have a cross-up setup off of your forward 3 that can launch for over 400 damage. If you do a double forward 3 combo, take the slightest step backwards like this. From there, a regular forward 3 will cross up, and a charged forward 3 won't cross up. You can meter burn the forward 3 in both of these setups to stuff any wake up options. Of course, this setup isn't perfect, your opponent can delay wake up out of it. That's all I've got for Bane's pressure. Bottom line, abuse the mix-ups off of your plus frames. Change up your offense as random as possible with the overheads, lows, and throws. If you see them trying to crouch block your down 1, hit them with a forward 2 down, or a command grab. If you see them walking away from your forward 2 down, you dash in and do a down 1, a back 2, or even another command grab. You'll be sure to strike fear into the hearts of any opponent. Now that all may seem very overwhelming, and it is overwhelming fighting Bane, but there's always a weakness, unless you're Supergirl. But Bane is not Supergirl, so let's take a look at ways to fight back. One of the more obvious methods of combating Bane is stopping him in the neutral before it's too late. Characters with a solid projectile or a set of long-range normals really give Bane trouble in the neutral. So if we're given Deadshot or Starfire or Dr. Fate for instance, these 3 characters have solid projectiles that'll slow Bane down when he's coming in. And when Bane traits up, his armor will be broken by Fate's Meter Burn Blast, Deadshot's Meter Burn Wrist Cannon, Deadshot's Rifle Barrage, or Starfire's trait. So keeping him full screen under your control will be manageable if your zoning is on point. When Venom is disabled, a good space control character like Scarecrow or Black Manta needs to use that opportunity to make their way in, because armored command grabs and Bane trains won't be present while Venom is inactive, especially while he's in debuff. Keep in mind as well that the Bane train is not immune to punishment. Characters like the Flash and Scarecrow can punish it with fast reversal moves like Fear Toxin or Dash Punch. So try and find your fastest forward advancing move to punish Bane's charge with. Not every character can though, so you'll just have to hold Bane's charge when he comes in. The fight isn't over if Bane's made his way in though. One of Bane's biggest weaknesses is the fact that all his moves are extremely slow. So if your opponent is coming in thinking they can use all these slow normals on you, feel free to challenge with some armor when he enters down 1 range. If he begins to use this 1-1 string on you, always remember that there's a gap after 1-1. Backdash out of it to avoid the plus frames. But again, be careful not to backdash every time, because there are possible ways Bane can punish you for this. Bane also has no lows he can cancel into, so always start blocking low and react to his 24 frame overhead starter. Avoid back 1 at all costs. There exists a perfect 3-way mix-up off of this one particular normal. Back 1-1 is a low, back 1 elbow is an overhead, and back 1 command grab is a throw. This is arguably Bane's deadliest normal, so try your best to keep out of his back 1 range. Be aware of his tick throws. Bane is a character with the most tick throws in the game, and tick throws are, by definition, unreactable. So you're going to have to put your life on the line when making a neutral jump read off of his command grabs. Stopping Bane in the neutral is your first line of defense, because the neutral is your best chance to escape from Bane's damage. Once he has his hands on you though, there's no reliable way out other than to guess properly. Be that as it may, it's still very important to be aware of Bane's capabilities. So I'll take the time to list all of Bane's tick throws right here. We have standing 1, back 1, down 1, forward 2 down, down 2, 1-1-2 down, back 1-1, and back 2-3. That's a total of 8 tick throws that you have to be aware of when fighting Bane. Each one of them can be neutral jump punished on some characters. Since Bane's command grab recovers very quickly, the only way to punish it is to use an instant air jumping normal. Scarecrow's instant air jump 3 will punish Bane for about 120 damage if the command grab is avoided. Superman has no way of punishing Bane's command grabs after a neutral jump, whereas Supergirl on the other hand can full combo punish Bane using a float cancel. Instead of going for a neutral jump when you think he's going to try and tick throw you, you can use certain normals and strings that make the character immune to command grabs while the move is active. An example would be every character's back 3, Superman's back 1, things like that. Using one of these during the gaps of the tick throws is another way to full combo punish Bane reliably every time. I just made a video recently where I go over all of Bane's tick throws and test every character's forward and back 3 to see if they punish him. Check out that video if you need a more reliable way to punish Bane's tick throws. In regards to Bane's command grab in the neutral, the best case of you avoiding it is to do a back jump in the neutral. Or you can make a read with the neutral jump early, and you'll actually be able to full combo him on any character if you make the read early enough. Of course, don't spend all day jumping in on him because his DP has an enormous hitbox. Never jump at Bane when he has Venom. I cannot stress this enough. An armored DP, meter burned, while in Venom is looking like 150 health completely gone, leaving you right where Bane wants you to be. Just don't jump in on him when Venom is active. On knockdown, it's best to delay wake up to throw off the timing of his meaty command grab, so you can stand up and maybe punish him for it. Another thing to be careful for is when you're applying pressure that has gaps in it. Bane does lack a 6 frame move, and his fastest crouching normal is 11 frames, meaning he doesn't poke out of gaps when his Venom is inactive. When he does have Venom active though, be very careful for a reversal special move. His moves have armor that will absorb the next hit in your pressure to shut you down. In conclusion, the best way to defend against Bane is to stop him in the neutral. Contest him with projectiles and footsie normals, whatever you have to do. Make sure to keep an eye on his Venom. Play defense when Venom is active and go in when Venom is disabled. If Bane makes his way in on you, study the way he uses tick throws on you so you can read his next tick throw and punish. Do keep in mind the mix-ups he has off of his strings, and be prepared to do some guessing. A well-placed charged meter burn back 3 will be enough to stuff his forward progress on you, and can get you out of some of his gaps. Bane has less and less options the further away he gets, remember that. I hope this section helped you guys get an idea on what exactly to do against Bane. Obviously, the #1 Bane in the world is where you'll want to start when observing Bane in action. Biohazard is currently regarded as the best Bane, and you'll get quality gameplay footage to study from him. Gur is another honorable mention. He's appeared in a few tournaments now and again, and seeing how he performs in the atypical matchups is quite helpful for any future Bane mains. I'll leave links in the description for footage of these two players. So that's it for Bane, guys. Please leave a comment regarding any future characters you'd like to see. If there was any confusing terminology in this video, I'd like to refer you back to my tutorial series I made. If you guys like what I'm doing here in this series, spread the word. If you learned something, or if I made taking on Bane a little easier for you, stay tuned for my next video in this series. Remember guys, there is no knowledge that is not power. So I'll see you in the next video where I'll be breaking down Supergirl.